Okay, let me ask you this. Do you want a shortcut? A faster way to success, to real influence, maybe even just genuine happiness? It sounds like a big promise, I know. But here's the thing. Most people who fall short, it's often not about lacking talent. It's usually because they stumble on one really critical skill, dealing with other people. Welcome to Success Happiness. Today, we're doing a special book talk. We're diving into an absolute giant, an international phenomenon. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, it really is a landmark book. I mean, think about it. Dale Carnegie, he wasn't just an author writing in isolation. He ran these courses, right, for thousands, literally thousands of adults back in the day who just wanted to get better at, well, human relations.
Yeah.
And when this book came out, I think it was 1937, it wasn't just a success. It was an absolute sensation, overnight bestseller.
Wow. Yeah.
And the fact that it's been translated into like almost every language you can think of, it just proves these ideas are timeless.
Yeah.
They tap into something fundamental about us.
Absolutely. That timeless quality is exactly why we're digging in today. Our goal, our mission for this talk, is to pull out three, let's say, foundational secrets from Carnegie's work. Things you can use, like, immediately to transform how you interact with people.
Yeah, secrets based on his laboratory of human relationships, as he liked to think of it.
Okay, so let's start with maybe the biggest mistake we all make. Carnegie hammers this home right at the start. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Seriously, don't do it. We think, oh, constructive criticism, that helps people improve, right?
Yeah, we tell ourselves that. But Carnegie argues, and I think experience bears this out, it mostly just puts people on the defensive.
Yeah.
It wounds their pride, makes them resentful. You're basically just poking a bear. Or, as he put it, kicking a beehive.
Kicking a beehive, I like that. It captures the likely outcome.
Exactly. And the reason why it backfires is deep down, people just don't see themselves as being wrong. Even when they clearly are, we just don't blame ourselves.
He uses some pretty intense examples to make this point, doesn't he? Like really extreme cases.
Oh yeah, like Two-Gun Trolley,
Yeah.
the cop killer, and Al Capone, public enemy number one.
Right.
Even facing execution or prison, neither of them thought, yeah, I messed up.
Right.
Crowley wrote that under his coat was a weary heart, but a kind one that wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Capone saw himself as like a public servant, just giving people what they wanted.
Wow. So the point being, if even these guys, these hardened criminals, couldn't accept fault.
Then what chance do we have thinking our colleague or our spouse or, a customer is just going to take our criticism gracefully? It's pretty much futile. It doesn't change behavior. It just breeds resentment.
Okay, so that's the big don't kick the beehive. So if criticism is out, what's the positive approach? What is the most powerful tool we have?
Now we get to the good stuff. Without flipping the script entirely. Carnegie leans on the philosopher John Dewey here, who said, the deepest, most persistent urge in human nature is the desire to be important.
The desire to be important. Okay.
We all crave it. That feeling of significance, of being valued, of mattering, it's primal.
So the secret to influencing people isn't pointing out their flaws. It's about feeding that need, making them feel important.
Precisely. And this is but it has to be genuine, sincere appreciation, not flattery.
Right, there's a big difference.
Huge difference. Flattery is, it's cheap, it's insincere, people see right through it. It often does more harm than good. Real appreciation, though, that comes from the heart, that's like gold. Think about Charles Schwab. Carnegie talks about him a lot. Okay. This guy was earning over $1 million a year back in the early 20th century, which was astronomical.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And Schwab himself said it wasn't because he knew more about making steel than his workers.
Yeah.
He said it was his ability to arouse enthusiasm in people. And how did he do that?
Let me guess. Appreciation.
Lavish, sincere appreciation. He focused on people's strengths, on what they did well. He built them up, made them feel important, and they rewarded him with incredible loyalty and productivity. That was his secret sauce.
Okay, so we've got don't criticize and do appreciate sincerely. Now let's talk about actually building connections, like making friends. There's a principle here that feels almost paradoxical, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of turns our usual approach on its head.
Right. Carnegie says you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people.
Than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
Exactly. It flips the script. We usually think networking or making friends is about, projecting ourselves, being interesting, selling ourselves.
But we're naturally self-obsessed, aren't we? Carnegie mentions this study, I think it was the phone company.
Oh, yeah, the New York Telephone Company study, where they analyzed conversations.
That's the one. They found the word I. The first-person pronoun was used something like 3,900 times in just 500 phone calls.
Wow. That says it all, really. We are the main character in our own movie.
Totally. And if you spend all your energy trying to drag the spotlight onto yourself, you might get attention, but you often end up feeling, well, pretty lonely. Even someone like Napoleon, world famous, incredibly powerful,
He felt isolated, right, towards the end.
deeply isolated. Fame, power, wealth, none of that guarantees real connection. What does? That genuine, outward-focused interest in others.
And showing that interest, it's not just about asking questions, is it? It's the little things, too, like remembering someone's name.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Carnegie says a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language.
That's powerful.
It really is. Think about it from a business perspective. Benton Love, who was chairman of a big bank, basically said if an executive says, I can't remember names, they're admitting they can't remember a vital part of their business. The name's the person, in a way. It's their handle, their identity.
And getting it right, especially if it's maybe a slightly unusual or difficult name, the impact can be huge. I love that story about Sid Levy and his customer. Mr. Papadoulos.
Nicodemus Papadoulos. Yes,
Yeah.
Great story. Most people just called him Nick, easier.
Right.
But Levy took the time, made the effort, learned the full name, and when he greeted him properly, good afternoon, Mr. Nicodemus Papadoulos. The guy was apparently so moved.
He cried, didn't he?
Yeah, reportedly shed tears. Said something like, in 15 years in America, nobody had bothered to use his proper name.
Just think about that. Tears over a name. That one small act of recognition created such a powerful bond.
Exactly. It's about making that person feel seen, feel important. It's that exclusive attention again.
And that idea of exclusive attention, that's also the secret to being a good conversationalist, isn't it? Which, again, sounds simple, but maybe isn't.
It's almost deceptively simple. The easiest way to be interesting is to be interested.
Right. Carnegie tells that story about the dinner party where he got stuck talking to a botanist.
And Carnegie basically said almost nothing himself. He just listened intently, asked questions, encouraged the botanist to talk about, plants and experiments for hours.
And what happened at the end?
The botanist turned to their host and raved about Carnegie, calling him a most interesting conversationalist.
Even though he barely spoke.
Exactly, because he gave that botanist his full, undivided attention. He made the other person feel fascinating, and in return, he was perceived as fascinating. Listening intently is maybe the highest compliment you can pay someone. Okay, so we've covered the foundations. Avoiding criticism, giving appreciation, being genuinely interested. Now, how do we actually get someone to, do something? How do we move them to action?
Yeah, the influence part.
Right. And this is principle 6. You need to arouse in the other person an eager want.
Okay, arouse an eager want. That sounds a little like manipulation, doesn't it? How do we square that with being genuine?
That's a really important question. And the key is in the other person's want. It's not about tricking them. It's about understanding what they desire. Henry Ford nailed it, right? He said his secret was simple. Being able to see things from the other person's point of view as well as his own.
So it's about alignment. Finding where your goal overlaps with their desire.
Exactly. You can't force anyone to do anything long term. You have to make them want to do it. So you stop talking about what you want and you frame it entirely in terms of what they want, what benefits them.
Carnegie gives that great example with the dad, Stan Novak, and his little boy, Tim, who refused to go to kindergarten.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim just wouldn't go. And Stan could have yelled, bribed, argued.
Yeah.
Focused on his need for Tim to go to school.
But he didn't. What did they do instead?
He and his wife got clever. They sat down and listed all the fun things Tim would do at kindergarten, finger painting, singing songs, playing games.
Yeah.
Then they started finger painting themselves at the kitchen table.
I see where this is going.
Right. Little Tim wanders over, wants to join in. And they say, oh, sorry, Tim, you can't finger paint here. You have to go to kindergarten first to learn how.
Brilliant. They created the eager want. They linked kindergarten, which he didn't want, to finger painting, which he suddenly desperately wanted.
Precisely. And the next morning, Tim was apparently downstairs ready to go, worried he'd be late for kindergarten. No argument needed. They just aligned with his desire.
That's such a powerful illustration. But sometimes just finding that want isn't quite enough, right? Sometimes you need a bit more.
Yeah, sometimes logic and calm explanation just don't cut through the noise. We're bombarded with information. That's where Principle 7 comes in. Dramatize your ideas.
Dramatize, like add some showmanship.
Exactly. Make it vivid, make it memorable, make it hit home emotionally or sensorially. Facts alone aren't always persuasive.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, there's the story of the NCR salesman, Jim Yeamans. He was trying to sell new cash registers to this grocer, who was convinced his old ones were fine. Yeamans had the data, the spreadsheets, showing the grocer was losing small amounts of money on transactions constantly.
But the grocer wasn't buying it. Literally.
Nope, just couldn't see it. So Yeamans did something dramatic. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a handful of pennies representing the money lost per transaction, and just threw them on the floor.
Whoa, just threw them.
Yeah, the clatter of the coins hitting the floor, that physical demonstration that got the grocer's attention instantly. Yeaman said something like, look, you're literally throwing money away every time a customer checks out.
That's brilliant. It made the abstract loss totally concrete and, well, dramatic.
And it worked. The grocer ordered the new machines on the spot. Sometimes you just need that bit of theater to make your point land. So if we pull it all together, we've really looked at three key areas from Carnegie, haven't we? First, that emotional groundwork. Stop criticizing. Start appreciating sincerely.
Right. Then the connection piece. Be genuinely interested, remember and use people's names, show them you see them.
And finally, the action part. Figure out what they want, their eager want, and if you need to, dramatize your idea to make it resonate.
And what's really striking is none of this feels like trickery when you think about it. It's all grounded in just understanding basic human nature, you know? Our deep need to feel important, to be liked, to connect.
Exactly. These aren't manipulations. They're alignment strategies. They're about working with human nature, not against it. They genuinely are building blocks for a more successful life, both professionally and personally, and maybe a happier one too.
It reminds me of that quote from Professor William James at Harvard. He said something like, compared to what we ought to be, we're only half awake, that we only use a tiny fraction of our potential.
That's a great connection. This book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's like a manual for waking up more of that potential, isn't it? Especially the potential locked up in our relationships.
Yeah, the knowledge is right here. It's almost deceptively simple. The only real challenge, I guess, is putting it into practice.
Right.
Taking action.
That's always the key.
So we really encourage you, try one of these principles today. Maybe just focus on sincerely appreciating someone, or really listen the next time you talk to somebody, see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us for this book talk on success happiness. If you want more discussions like this, more insights to help you unlock your potential, definitely hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you back.